So from the spiritual perspective and understanding the nature of consciousness, thoughts and feelings arise within awareness. We create our stories from thoughts that coalesce into beliefs and then the stories that make up who we are. In meditation, we observe and identify with the field of awareness. Okay, these thoughts are just arising and passing. The challenge with just staying with meditation is that you can be observing the same patterns for decades. So like a limiting belief of, I'm not worthy of love. Okay, just observe it. It's not me. Come back to the present moment. Observe it. It's not me. Come back. You can just be doing that time and time again. Parts work, instead of just observation, invites investigation. To go use that thought, that challenging emotion, that challenging thought as a trailhead to see who's there. Like, why is that thought there? This is shadow work or, Jungian shadow work. For me, a part is a pattern of thoughts and feelings. So if I follow that line of thinking, so let's make it personal to me. So yeah, something that has been coming up less and less, but if I need to be meditating an hour or 2 hours a day, or else I'm not in integrity with being a meditation teacher. So that's
You
a
say
thought that comes up.
that's just a thought. You're not saying you really believe that. You're just saying that it might be a thought you have.
Exactly. So that's a thought that I have. Okay. So let's just see where that thought takes me. So I then, on my therapeutic journey, then find that there's a part of me, which I've now called the taskmaster, who's my inner disciplinarian, my inner perfectionist. I found he's a samurai and he wears immaculate clothing, meditates 2 hours a day, perfectly vegan, and demands a lot from me. And he's creating these thoughts of, if you aren't in full alignment in every aspect of your life, you're a fraud and you're out of integrity. So beneath the harshness that those thoughts can present is a beautiful intention for integrity and for high standards, which I'm really grateful for the taskmaster as being part of me. But then once I really, I get to, in parts work and internal family systems, understand the story. So, my dad's harshness and his desire for workaholism. There's lots of beautiful parts to my dad, but also he gave me that energy. Once the taskmaster saw that, it's like, oh, you're just playing out the conditioning you got from your dad. And I asked the taskmaster, do you want to be that harsh to me? And the taskmaster says no. And now over time, that thinking has softened. So that's one micro example of, the power of investigation. Observation is great, foundational, the power of meditation. But what happens when you go and investigate? Why is this thinking there? And who's there? Which parts are there?
Okay, so I think what you're saying is that there's a whole theme in Vedanta about identification and how ordinarily we are overshadowed by or identify with our thoughts and our perceptions. And we have to learn eventually to distinguish between pure consciousness and the objects, like the movie screen versus the movies that play upon it. And I think what you're saying is that there's some significance to the movies themselves, not that it's not just that they overshadow the screen, but that the movies can tell us, here I'm using the metaphor, they can tell us something. So if you have some particular thought about your dad or something else, there might be some learning to explore with that particular thought. When I was teaching meditation, I would sometimes say to people, just treat all thoughts as if they're in Japanese, doesn't matter what they mean. Come back to the mantra, whatever, transcend. But what you're kind of giving more credence or importance to the contents of the mind that bubble up, because that can be fuel for investigation.
Totally. And both things are true. I think there's an important stage of the journey is like, the thoughts are Japanese. Just see that these are energy and like, you don't need to believe them and not every thought is true and just stay in the presence. But we do need to navigate our lives, and we've been given this big, beautiful thinking brain in order to help us navigate life. And if on the spiritual journey, we created a duality of thinking bad and presence good, then we're actually separating ourselves from one of the great gifts of being a human being. Thinking helps us navigate. Thinking also is the product of our genetics, our parenting, our society, our free choices, and then chaos. And that is, these patterns of thinking are what helps us navigate the world. So it can be that somebody does deep meditation, goes to a monastery, and easily rests in awareness, but as Ram Dass says, goes back to the parents and is just triggered and angry and reactive. And why is that? Because there's a pattern of thought and feeling that was triggered by mum and dad. So that observation alone actually isn't helping to fully shine the light of love, shine the light of loving awareness and presence to all the patterns. So it does take investigation, and there is logic and reason to why the parts work in the way that they do. And once we understand these parts, then we can navigate our lives with more skill.